You ever seen someone balancing on a tightrope, way up there in the sky? It's wild. People watch and think, how in the world is he doing that? But here's the thing, it's not because the rope is steady. It's because the one walking it learned to trust. Trust the tension. Trust the process. Trust the person who trained him. And just like that, life with God isn't about flat paths and smooth streets. Nah. It's about walking with Him across the wildest winds, where your steps aren't always sure, and your heart might shake, but His hand never does. He holds you when everything else wants to pull you down. People might look at your life and gasp at your wobbles. But you keep walking, not because life's easy, but because He's right there. Not because you're fearless, but because His Spirit fills the gap between where you are and where you're going. Let me say this clearly. Walking with God doesn't mean you're always winning in the world's eyes. It means you're never walking alone. And that changes everything. See, when you say, "Walk with me, Lord," you're not just saying a cute church phrase. You're crying out because you felt how heavy life can get without Him beside you. You're not just asking for direction. You're asking for presence. For closeness. For strength that doesn't come from your own hands. You might still face valleys, but now you don't face them empty. You might wrestle with hard choices, but you're not lost in confusion anymore. Even your weakness becomes a space where God shows up the strongest. His grace covers the moments where your knees feel like giving out. Because when you walk with Him, the path doesn't have to make sense. The winds don't have to calm. His presence, that's what steadies you. That's what keeps you from sinking. Let's talk real for a moment. There's something powerful that happens when God steps into your battles. The fight might still be there, but your whole posture changes. You're not just trying to survive. You're standing with the King. And that flips everything. You don't have to have the perfect plan. You don't have to be the strongest one in the room. You just have to know who's fighting with you. Because when the battle belongs to God, the odds don't scare you anymore. You start expecting victory instead of hoping for it. You don't panic when the enemy gets loud. You don't fold under pressure. Because His presence shifts your focus from fear to faith. And let me tell you, walking with God doesn't remove the fight, it redefines it. It teaches you how to stop reacting and start responding. How to speak from authority, not anxiety. You carry a confidence the world can't explain. A holy boldness. That's why when the enemy comes knocking, it's not just you he's facing. He's facing the one who walks beside you, and our God has never known defeat. You might think the battlefield is where you'll break. But sometimes it's where God builds you. Sometimes He brings you back to the lion and the bear, not to punish you, but to train you for Goliath. He'll walk you into battles that once scared you just to show you how strong you've become in Him. What once shook you now strengthens you. What once broke you now builds your faith. And don't sleep on the waiting seasons. The silent moments. The pause. That's where some of the deepest stuff gets formed. God doesn't measure your progress by how fast you're moving. He measures it by how well you're trusting. Stillness isn't weakness. In God's presence, it's power. It's where your spirit gets sharpened. Your heart gets stretched. Your focus gets clear. And most of all, your character gets shaped. We hate waiting because it feels like nothing's happening. But the truth, that's where the roots go deep. That's where endurance is built. That's where your foundation is tested and strengthened. And while the world rushes, God refines. Delay is not denial. It's development. He waits, not because He forgot you, but because He's forming something in you that can actually carry the blessing when it shows up. If you got it too early, it would crush you. But when He says, "Now," you'll be ready. And when you're walking with Him, even the waiting isn't wasted. Every quiet night, every unanswered prayer, every moment that felt like nothing, it all counts. It all matters. Because He's in it. And He's working. You might not see the growth yet, but trust me, it's happening. The seed doesn't sprout on day one. But the soil is doing something underneath. Something sacred. And then, one day, you realize you're not where you used to be. You're stronger. You're wiser. You're still standing. And peace isn't based on what's happening around you, but who's with you through it all. Let's talk atmosphere for a second. When you walk with God, the air shifts around you. You carry something unseen but unmistakable. It's not about being loud or flashy, it's about walking in quiet confidence. You bring peace into pressure. You bring light into heaviness. You don't have to announce that God's with you. People just feel it. They watch you move through storms without losing your balance. They see you face stress without snapping. And they know, something's different. That's the power of divine presence. God's not just hanging out in your heart. He's flooding your surroundings. He's moving through your words, calming your thoughts, guiding your steps. And even when rooms are filled with chaos, you remain still. Why? Because your peace doesn't depend on the noise around you, it flows from the one walking beside you. So now, when trouble comes, you don't get rattled. When people test you, you don't lose your cool. Why? Because His presence has changed what triggers you. His peace becomes your atmosphere. And that's what it means to walk with God. You don't wait for life to get easier. You don't wait for people to treat you right. You carry God's presence right into the middle of every hard thing, and let that presence lead the way. So if you're walking through silence, or stuck in a storm, or facing a battle, don't stop walking. Because He is still with you. And the path you're on, no matter how rough or uncertain, becomes holy ground when God walks it with you.